Welcome to the Change Management Overview series. Today we're talking about the E's of change management. So core principles for your change program. I want to start off, as I always do, just covering off what is change management. It is the creation and implementation of a plan to move an individual, team and or organisation from a defined current state to a defined future state. And I'll say it again, you'll see it probably in most of the series when I talk about the importance of making sure that your current state assessment is based on real world, not on theory. And we're moving to a defined future state is to provide clarity about what will it look like, what will success look like for the project or program or the change you're introducing, and to assess that against the real world current state. There are two types of change that we often work on. One is operational change, and for organisations who aren't that mature in change management, this is, I guess, the starting point. So this is where you're managing change, which is a modification to an existing process, system, policy, or alteration to an existing product or service. And then there's transformational change. So transformation, in its essence, is changing the fundamental way an organisation functions. And you experience this if there's an org restructure, so if you're changing the structure of your organisation, or if you're looking to introduce technology which is going to support the core functions of your business. That is a fundamental change in the way an organisation is operating. And for transformational change, you really want to discuss culture, because it doesn't matter if you're introducing strategy, if you're introducing new technology, it's all about the culture of your organisation, which will have the change be successful. The why of change management, once again, I just want to briefly cover this off around why you would introduce this as a discipline or practice in your organisation. It actually results in performance improvement because it's really focused on people. It says it doesn't matter how many IT systems you introduce or new processes you introduce, if your people don't understand it, and if they're not involved in the creation of these things, then their productivity will decrease. They'll become disengaged. When you involve people in these processes, they become engaged, they become advocates for the organisation, and they really improve their productivity. Efficiency, so better and faster adoption of change in a shorter time frame, which leads to cost savings, because there's less resource needed after a launch if change is managed well, and you won't be reworking solutions. And time savings, because there's a faster return on investment. Now let's go into the E's, and we have actually 4 E's for you today. One is emotional intelligence. So this is really the skill and fundamental of understanding how people respond to change, being able to lead through change. So this is one of the core 4 E's in any change program that you need to pay attention to. The second is effectiveness, so making sure that the solution is fit for purpose by putting the end user up front in the design process. If you have the end user or client working on the solution, then it is easier for them to adopt because they've created the solution. And many times in projects, the end user gets engaged later in the process, and it is a time-wasting exercise. So change management and involvement of your key stakeholders has to happen up front for effectiveness. Engagement. Ensuring impacted individuals and teams are engaged throughout the entire process. And this is really key, especially when you're looking at a transformation, but even for smaller projects. If individuals are engaged, once again, they become the biggest advocate. And I don't mean just consulting or having them attend a workshop. It's actually having individuals represent in the project group, in the change group, and help design the change response, the communication plan, the training. You need those individuals at the table. And efficiency, the 4th E, which is about creating the shortest time frame for adoption and benefit realization. You want people to move from uncomfortable to comfortable as fast as possible when it comes to change. And if they're involved, then they're going to have a sense of certainty. Let's delve into emotional intelligence. So all people go through a process, an emotional process when change is taking place. You and I do it, we're both human, it's natural and it's normal. Some people, dependent upon the change, are going to react differently to others. If someone has something to gain from a change, they're probably going to respond positively. If someone loses something at the result of a change, they are probably going to be extremely upset. So every individual is going to respond differently based on what that change is. You're going to have early adopters of change, you'll have late adopters, and you'll have resistors. Really what we're looking to do is the early adopters are a small percentage typically of the impacted audience. The late adopters, they take a little bit longer to get on board, but they definitely get on board. And that is the majority typically in a change. And resistors are once again a bit of a minority who might respond or react quite emotionally to the change. And over time, you would hope they would get on board, or they might opt out altogether. But all people working on change projects or leading change in an organisation on a regular basis need to develop the self-awareness. And the reason why they have to work on themselves and their own emotional intelligence is so that they can be of better service to those who are impacted by the change. And I really do say this about change managers as well, that the more self-aware they become, the better a change manager they will be, because they understand people's process and how they go through their process to get the best outcome. So if you are working on or leading a change, you really need to understand if you're responding or reacting to change when it happens, especially if you're a leader. We're all subjects to changes that come as a surprise, or that may not be something that we're 100% behind when we first experience or get told news, or we're heading in this direction now. No, we're not going to cull that project, we're going to go prioritize this project. It's how you deal with that change. If you're reacting to that change, then you're reacting from a place of emotion. If you're responding to it, you're starting to become a master of your own emotional world, which allows you to better lead change. Understand that you need to lead change and not manage it. And this is really important. We're developing a program at the moment for people who are change leaders so that they can understand the difference between a change management process and change leadership, and what does change leadership actually look like. Change leaders, once again, they respond, they don't react. They understand the importance of visioning, they understand the importance of empowerment, and they also understand the importance and need to facilitate change for others. A change leader will ensure that the messaging is resonating with those who are impacted. They will also translate the messages if need be for individuals to assist them and support them in the change. And this is all about facilitating the move for impacted people from a space of being uncomfortable to being comfortable in the new world. And that's what it's all about when it comes to leading change. And if you're working on change, the same things apply. Let's have a look at the next E, which is about effectiveness. And this is really key because efficiency and effectiveness are kind of the aspects that I really thrive on around how you can increase the quality of what's being delivered. And effectiveness is about involving those who are impacted in designing the solution. And it's the ultimate of empowerment for people. Oftentimes clients really know kind of what they want, or they can tell you through their experience the gaps and why they're unhappy with the service, to help the designers go away and create alternate solutions and actually to innovate. The same should be happening with our staff. Sometimes I feel like organisations are more comfortable doing it with clients than they are with their own staff. The principle should be applied across the board. You also need to ensure that robust testing and modifications are made in response to issues. And you need to allow enough time to do that and allow the business to prioritise. So I've worked on IT projects where the project team started making decisions on behalf of the business about what the priorities and the fixes should be. And that's a massive no-no. It's actually the business who should be prioritising. It's also important to set clear parameters about the solution if restrictions apply, and being upfront about that. That really does help people to know what the playing field looks like, and not get to a point where, sorry, we can't deliver this, 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 and this, and this, because we never had the budget for it, and there was never a possibility to deliver it. The triage of nice to haves versus must haves needs to happen up front. Create a shared responsibility for the solution with the end users. That is the ultimate goal, so that people are, as I mentioned in the other E's, heavily engaged and really understanding what is going to get delivered. So involvement of the impacted audiences results in a faster adoption of a solution, 100% of the time. Now let's have a look at engagement. So engage those who are impacted the most. Really, really critical to do that. And I don't mean a tick the box, oh yes, I've consulted with these people or I've met with these people. Engagement means they're partnering with you, and they should provide decision-making authority to those who are impacted at the appropriate level when it comes to your project. People get scared at that, but the reality is the acceptance of the solution should be done by the business and those who are impacted by the solution. Building trust through creating a strong feedback process is absolutely critical. And feedback process means that the feedback loop has to be closed. So it's not just a one way of I'm gathering feedback, but there has to be, you said this is what we've done in response to that. And practicing the art of listening, and this is something that I think all humans probably need to work on, probably for the entirety of their lives, but understanding what the intention is behind the story that's being told is really critical. And through all of my experience from a change perspective, it's been the art of listening which yields a better end product, a better solution, a more effective solution, and a happier stakeholder at the end of the day. Empower those impacted to lead the change, which means you need to be providing all of the necessary tools, support, coaching to those who are leading the change on your behalf. And the last E is efficiency. So all about measuring adoption and the speed of adoption, measure the satisfaction with the change process, measure benefits associated with the change. Everything can be measured. And efficiency is all about creating the shortest time frame for adoption and benefit realization, and really learning from that and learning from the whole process so that it can be done better the next time. So what have we covered here? We've covered the 4 E's, which underpin any good change strategy. So if you had a look at a change strategy you might be working on, or one that's been implemented in your organization, how well were each of those E's covered in that change strategy? Were people who were impacted the most heavily engaged? Were there efficiency indicators? Like, what were the measures? What did they look like? What was achieved within the time frame? Effectiveness, so were the stakeholders at the actual table? And how was the emotional intelligence of those who were leading the change? And where were the areas where it could have been improved? Throughout the project lifecycle, you need to ensure that you're considering the 3 E's and identify areas for improvement. And how well you address the 4 E's will show in the success of the program. Bearing in mind that when I talk about change management in another overview module, I talk about the delivery aspect, that delivery used to be the sign of success, and now it's delivery and engagement. And then when you bring all of the E's together, you're kind of looking more at also then how leadership is brought into the organization, how change leadership is critical to success, the solution and how well the solution is designed, and having the end user at the center of the design process. How well was the change measured, and also how well were the people engaged throughout the process. So all can be measured in a typical change program. So that's it for today, but obviously if you want to know more, please come and visit us again at myvirtualchangemanager.com. We're constantly releasing modules and loading information on our blog. We have a lot of different forums that we create. So we have webinars, we have a membership program, we have online skill development. So come on over, check it out, see what's new, and we look forward to working with you.